Well, hello everyone. How are you? How are you? It's me, Dr. Naita, and I am still trying to work with this because at the last minute, guess what? My other computer died. It just died. I couldn't believe it. All my information, all my notes are on the other computer, but you know what? We are going to roll with it anyway. How's everyone doing? Everyone doing well? It's so good to see you. Well, as I always say, I'm here, you're here, so we're here, and let's get this show started. So, look, I am so excited because I have another special guest. Yes, I do, and he is phenomenal. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but I would like everyone to give some love for none other than Mr. Paul McRae. Come on in here, Paul. Come on, yay! It's so good to
Thanks.
see you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for
Good,
having me on.
good, good. Well, it's nothing like having a computer crash on you right
I
before
know.
showtime, but that's okay. We're still going to make this show roll, and
Yeah.
all my data and my stats, because I had a little PowerPoint ready, but you know what? We're going to roll with it. So I think I remembered some of the data,
Okay.
so I know you have some information. So,
Yeah.
Paul, look.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself. Who are you? It says Paul McRae, LMHC. Who are you? Who is that?
Well, my name's Paul McRae. Obviously, I'm a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida and also Washington State. I'm a clinical supervisor as well, so I can nurture and kind of help therapists that are moving towards licensure as well in Florida. And I own a private practice here in Jacksonville, Florida. And so, yeah, I enjoy what I do. When I'm not doing therapy, I'm usually running around the streets of Jacksonville. So,
That's what I was going to ask you about. I know you're a big runner, and
yeah,
as you are aware, I started running this summer.
I
So
am aware.
that is
When are we
really.
going running together?
Oh, no, 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 no. Because I'm sure you run for miles and miles and miles. I hit one and I'm done. 1 mile,
That's good.
I'm done.
That's good. One is better
So,
than nothing. Yeah.
well, good. Well, Paul, thank you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And wanted to talk tonight about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So let me put my topic up here. Our topic tonight is healthy mindset. Healthy
Okay.
mindset, putting yourself first. And I wanted to, there are a few things that I do want to address. And the first thing that I wanted to bring up was that nearly 40 million Americans suffer from or struggle with some type of anxiety disorder. Now, when I think about mental health, there are so many avenues and
Sure.
so many different things that directions that we could go in. But tonight, I really just wanted to focus on like
Sure.
stress, and stress, especially anxiety disorders, because it just seems like that it's commonplace. We hear about it so much, but do
Sure.
we really understand it? Do we know what it is? So, again, recent data reveals that about 40 million Americans struggle with some type of anxiety disorder. Do you think that number is accurate?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's probably a little low, to be honest. Right now, especially with COVID, I've seen an increase in just the level of anxiety that people are coming in with. Any given week before COVID, I'd pretty much booked out 2 weeks before,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm going on 6 weeks.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so a lot of the current things that people are coming in with are usually anxiety related. I think with COVID, it's one of those things people like to feel like they're in control and know what's happening, when the end is coming, and
Right.
because there's no like definite end in sight,
Mm-mm.
people are just having a hard time dealing with that.
Wow, wow. So I know another statistic that I read said that, with all these people, it was like 18.1% of the American population are struggling with some type of anxiety disorder. But of that, only about 36% are receiving any kind of treatment. Do
Yeah.
you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. I think people neglect or avoid therapy for a bunch of different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's like I'm big and bad and can handle this on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Other times they feel like they can rely on or talk to a loved one, whether it be a family member or like a spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but quite often it takes an individual who's um, able to look at it from an outsider's perspective and give them tips to kind of move through. But yeah, 36% seems about right.
So that was going to lead to my next question. Why do you think so many people aren't, or what are the barriers that are preventing people from seeking this type of treatment?
Honestly, again, I think it's, initially, we have been brought up in a society, maybe not so much anymore for the young people, but people, you know, 25 and older are usually brought up in a society where, you should be able to handle most of these things on your own,
Mm-hmm.
and to actually go and seek help
Yeah.
makes you less of a person or less successful. I like to tell people when they come in to therapy that anxiety can actually be a good thing because it's what motivates us a lot of times.
Right.
But a little bit of anxiety, right? Not like the overwhelming panic attacks and stuff like that, because then we can't keep it under control. Um, but yeah, I think that's probably a big factor. I think also, again, it's like we can rely on our immediate family, our spouse to kind of help us through some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably use those avenues to kind of help us through. Um, and who wants to go, honestly, if I'm being honest, sometimes people find it hard to go and talk to a complete stranger
Mm-hmm.
about the things that trouble us the most, right? And
Right.
so and maybe they feel judged. I mean, my job as a counselor is to make that person feel welcome, that what they are sharing with me is not something that I'm going to judge, that I'm going to meet them where they're at and
Mm-hmm.
kind of help them develop some skills and some tools to kind of help them through that situation.
So when a person comes in and they're struggling with anxiety, then what is, I think one of the barriers is that, people don't understand what counseling is going to do. Because counseling does not make the problems go away,
No.
you know. So what does counseling really do? What does it, I'm been playing devil's advocate,
Yeah.
what's the point? What am I going for? He can't fix my problem. He can't make, my boss leave me alone. He can't make, my brothers and sisters stop treating me this way. So
Yeah.
what's the point of going to counseling? Why should I bring all that stuff up?
Well, I think honestly, each therapist is a little different. They come at it from a different framework and different standpoint. But where I would start is meeting that particular client where they're at, using their strengths to help them overcome some of those weaknesses. So usually, what I try to do for the first two or three, maybe four sessions, is try to build that rapport with that client, make them trust me, feel that they matter and I value what they're going through is something that's hard and difficult. And then I work on showing them, hey, here is your list of things that that are your strengths, and let's use some of those to help you get through to develop some tools and things to help you with the anxiety and those things that you're struggling with.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm checking to
Okay.
make sure I don't have any comments or anything to see if anyone's asking any questions because, hey, everybody, we have a counselor. We have a real counselor on. So if you have any comments or questions, please put them in the chat box and we will respond. I'm trying to make sure the volume is off. Okay.
Yeah, no
So we
problem.
will respond. All right. So one thing that I have noticed, and I had a picture and everything on my other computer. One
Hmm.
thing I've noticed is that panic attacks are big. Are they real? Are they real?
Yeah,
Are
I mean,
panic
they're
attacks
real.
real?
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple of clients this week that have kind of talked about them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost, they liken it to rapid heart. People think they're having a heart attack or they're having some kind of stroke. They can't breathe. They feel like their throat is kind of closing up. Um, it's a real thing. I think what makes it tough to deal with is that when you're in the moment or going through a panic attack, there's not a whole lot that's really going to help that person in that particular moment, other than trying to get them to do some things like deep breathing, focus on something else, focus on their breathing in and out. What I try to do is something called mindfulness, and that's like keeping them in the here and now, not thinking too far ahead, not thinking about what's brought them to the panic attack, and kind of focus on that.
Okay, I'm trying to jot that down. So during a panic attack, you're saying that trying to help them breathe deeply,
Yes.
breathe deeply, and you said something about mindfulness, correct? What
Yeah.
is that?
So mindfulness is a relatively new concept, and it's really focusing on the here and now, so you can truly focus on. So I liken it to, when we grow up, or even now, we may put a cube of ice in our mouth and really focus on what it feels like, the coldness. So you're only focusing on the immediate kind of here and now stuff that's going on inside your mouth, or it might be holding a fuzzy teddy bear and stroking it and kind of feeling like, okay, it's warm, it's fuzzy, it's comforting. Usually, what we're doing when we're having a panic attack is worrying about all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if we can help the person going through a panic attack kind of narrow their focus and focus on the here and now, focus on the breathing, focus on what it feels like for the breath to go into this diaphragm and back out, that kind of takes their mind away from the actual panic.
Okay, very good. That's good. That's good because I've
Mhm.
seen people in the midst of a panic attack, and I
Mhm.
know I asked the question, "Is it real?" But I've
Yeah,
seen it, so I
sure.
know it's real. But I wanted to just put that out there because if you've never seen it or
Yeah,
experienced it, you just think, "Oh, that's just in someone's head," but it's
yeah.
not. They are really having physiological symptoms at that time.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that's probably the hardest thing, right? Is for some of us to, if we've never seen it before, we think they're making it up,
right.
and that's probably another stigmatization of why people don't seek help or ask for help is because they're, again, scared that they're going to be like like judged and evaluated negatively.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, right. But I do like that idea that you said that, focusing on the here and now, because, like I said, I've seen someone in the midst of a panic attack and they were all over the place. And I'm like, oh my God, what on earth? And, I didn't know about, the here and now, the grabbing an ice cube, putting it
Hmm.
on, okay, what do you feel, and
Hmm.
just feeling it and being a part of that here and now,
Hmm.
that breathing, taking
Yeah.
taking in deep breaths at that moment, and that's really good. That's
Yeah.
excellent because when I think back on the panic attack and what it looked like,
Yeah.
it was as someone who's sitting there on the outside, it was just alarming. It's
Sure.
heartbreaking. It's you feel helpless,
Yeah.
because you can't bring the person back,
No.
But I think that ice, that is a great strategy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd never heard of that, so that was really good. So, are there signs that a person may be in need of some type of therapy, or are
Yeah.
there general signs?
Sure. I mean, some of the things that I tell, like family members and people who send me emails, if they're a little concerned about a family member or a colleague, is to look for things like rapid changes of behavior, like lack of interest in some of those things that their friends or their family members um, re- previously found interesting or fun to do. Someone who isolates themselves, someone who has a short fuse that usually doesn't have a short fuse, quick to anger, kind of like those behaviors that are usually not indicative of what that person usually exhibits to you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are kind of like the majority of things that I tell people to look for. Um, Sometimes I would feel those even cries for help, because quite often, if they're the type of person, like I said earlier, where hey, I can handle this on my own, dealing with everything okay, until someone goes up to them, are you doing okay? And just be kind and say, hey, I've noticed this change in behavior. How are you doing? I have a friend, or I have a someone, or I know of this therapist that you should go and talk to. That person's probably not self-aware enough um, to kind of see that they need the help.
Yeah, I know I've spoken about this in my classes. I teach one of the classes that I teach are the student life skill courses, and we get to a point where we talk about emotional and mental health,
Hmm.
and we talk about how has anyone ever had broken an arm? Has anyone ever had the flu?
Hmm.
How did you know you were sick? How did you
Yep.
know? Because you felt it. I feel the pain. I'm throwing up. I have symptoms. I have signs. Well, sometimes when you're having some mental health or some emotional health issues, you don't see it.
No.
You're depending on someone else to be honest with you, to
Yeah.
tell you, maybe, it's time that you should talk to someone. And, we need to, pay attention to that. I am very excited that many jobs, many employers offer some type of support for
Definitely.
employees. I know through my place of employment, we have employee assistance programs wherein you can call in, and many companies have
Hmm.
these services that are available and they're free of charge. The same holds true with students that are in school,
Hmm.
K-12, as well as college. There are
Yep.
student assistant programs that are available. When students think about reaching out for help, why do you think there's such a stigma against, especially college students? Because those are the younger ones. I know that we talked about the older people. Us
Hmm.
old
Hmm.
people.
Yeah.
We were raised that it's yours. You better handle it. You just suck it up. Because I know I've said it many
Yeah.
times. Suck it up. But this next generation, they seem to be the ones who really. I see a lot of young people suffering from panic attacks.
Hmm.
What is the? Why are they not reaching out for the help that is readily available to them?
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough one. I do think, again, it goes back to, college years. High school should be this exciting, fantastic time. And,
Not for
quite
everybody.
often, yeah, quite often they don't want to admit to themselves that they may need someone else to talk to. I usually tell people, because I do a lot of coaching of runners, high school teams here in town, and every so often that will kind of come up, and I'll say, listen, therapy, it has a stigmatization that it's a bad thing, but if you think of it, when you have a car, when you're old enough to drive and you have your own car, you need to look after it, right? So when at certain times, like you've done certain amount of miles, you have to go get an oil change.
Yeah.
You don't think twice about an oil change because you want that car to keep running at
Right.
its best. And so I say to them, look, I view therapy the same way. You may not have to go every week. You may not have to go once a month.
Right.
But if everyone had some impartial person to talk to
Yes.
and just lay it all out there, sometimes people come in and they just blur, like talk for an hour, and then I don't have to give any advice or like walk them through anything because after they're done with an hour of just bearing their soul to me, they feel 100 times better. So I think that's the biggest thing is just letting them know it's not a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
You can still have fun and live this crazy, enormous, amazing life when you're in high school or in college, but it's good just as well to go and talk to someone and just kind of unload everything.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. I totally 100% agree with all of everything that you just said.
yeah.
Um, my last question has to do with just the importance of mental health. When you're thinking about the whole
Yeah.
body, people will exercise the body, they will eat well,
Hmm.
they will exercise. I just said that. They will uh, do all these things for the physical body.
Yeah.
But then this part up here, we don't include that. Why?
Mhm.
How is it that the head is the part that we have omitted? We worry about how we look, how we dress, how
Mhm.
our clothes fit. We worry about all those things, but what happened in America that we didn't take the time to realize that the mind
Yeah.
controls everything. It's the centerpiece of everything.
Yeah, well, I think that it's only just come to be known that we need to take a more holistic approach to the body and wellness. We're definitely moving in the right direction, but I think we're still a few years behind kind of getting to that place where, you got not only do you have to work out, be active, eat well, get plenty of sleep, make sure your rest is on point, but you also have to get your mind kind of worked on and just make sure that you're in a good place. I think the biggest thing that I can say, even if someone today still is apprehensive to reach out to a therapist, is just to, I call them, give yourself an emotional check in. So you take time to emotionally check in with yourself to see where you're at. If you can recognize when you're more anxious, when you're sad, when you're angry, and what is going on in your life around those times, then you're going to be healthier in the long run.
I
My
love
job as a therapist is kind of help you kind of pull those out, but that's not to say you can't get that started on your own.
Excellent, excellent. I like that. And just, those emotional check ins, I think those are vital, and even doing them daily.
Yeah.
I know for me, early in the morning, before I start my day, some people call it journaling, some
Yeah.
people call it devotional reading and stuff, but the bottom line is just taking those few
Hmm.
moments
Yeah.
every day, to just check in to see how I am doing. And you know what, Paul, I promise, on those days that I have really, really good, check in moments, those are the days that bring me the biggest, ooh, I almost said a bad word, the biggest amount of mess in
Yeah.
a day's time. Woo! Because I tell you, today was one of them. And I had a wonderful devotion time this morning. A wonderful emotional check in,
Yeah.
which again I think it not only sets for me, it sets
Yeah.
the foundation for my day.
Definitely.
But someone else, you may not be a morning person. Everybody don't want to get up at 5 o'clock in
Mm-mm.
the morning and read. Okay, I get it.
No.
I get it. But
I mean, I
again,
think
I think
that's the thing too. Like you got to find what works for you, and you may
absolutely.
have to try a few things before you figure out. I like to go for a run first thing in the morning, and that allows me some time to kind of wake up, clear my head, come back, and then just sometimes just having the water fall on me in the shower is one of those moments that I'm like, oh, now I can get the day started right. So
Excellent, excellent. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, thank you. It's the thing that I don't like about early morning runs, spider webs. Y'all in your face.
you're right about that.
I hate that.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh no, no, no. I need the day to go on before I get back out here again. But thank you. I appreciate that, Paul. Thank you so much for joining me
you're
tonight.
welcome.
And I
Thanks
tell
for
you,
having me.
if if nothing else, the thing that really, really stood out for me was during help how to help someone during a panic attack.
Hmm.
And that's helping them focus on the here and now,
Yep.
because generally, again, during the midst of a panic attack, they are everywhere. They
Sure.
are, the person is just, so consumed with what could happen, what might
Hmm.
happen, what's going to happen tomorrow, next
Sure.
week, that they're not in the moment. So, and using ice cubes, I love
Hmm.
it. Oh, don't tell me that. I'll take a whole ice bag. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But just focusing on the here and now
Yeah.
is vital. So that was key. I learned a lot right there. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You're
So
welcome.
Paul, thank you so much. So or do you have a phone number or something
Yeah.
for anyone
You can
who
you can find me at the Jacksonville Center for Counseling website. So it's www Jacksonville Center for Counseling.com, which I know is really long.
Yeah, so we're just gonna stick with Jacksonville Center for Counseling.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
there just a hotline for
yeah. It's
someone?
area code 904-737-7242. And we are doing, because of COVID, we are doing virtual sessions as well. So people don't necessarily have to come into the office. If you do come into the office, we are doing temperature checks. You have to wear a mask. We're sanitizing everything multiple times a day so that people don't have to worry about that. So,
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, Paul, again, I appreciate you. Thank you for joining me
you're
tonight. Thank
welcome.
you for sharing that information and trying to break down some of the stigma that's associated with reaching out for help, and
Mhm.
especially during right now during COVID. And and the numbers are like all over the place. We don't know what's going to happen with COVID. I know that one of the high schools just closed down
Mhm.
for
Lecture on that.
locally.
Hmm.
Yeah, just closed locally. So we don't know what's going to happen. This thing just it won't go away.
No, I
It just
know.
won't go away. So, help is out there. Help is out there for anyone, any age, from children. I'll have on some people later, in the
Yep.
weeks to come, to talk about little kids, some little signs and strategies that you as parents can work on with your students to help them manage the stressors that they're dealing with. So, as we close out, Paul, do you have any suggestions or last minute tips or thoughts that you'd like to share with people?
Not really. I just think, if people just even want to shoot me an email, they can find my email on the website, or they can call and ask for my email address. I'm always willing to offer, point people in the right direction and answer questions. I just want people to get the help that they need, even if it's just answering a question. So don't feel like the worst thing is not just feeling like you should. I don't want anyone to feel embarrassed about asking whatever the question is. So please reach out. That's what I'm here for. So,
Yay. Well, thank you, Paul. You
you're
have a
welcome.
great
You too.
evening. All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.